All right, welcome back to the channel. So we are going to continue probably for the last video that I think I'm going to do on this subject unless something really breaks out. But Nicolas Asberry, who was a sparring partner for Tyson Fury, came out on Blue Blood Sports TV's live stream and man completely blew the lid off the place. Made some observations about the training camps for Tyson Fury and the way that the WBA and the way that the sanctioning bodies work. That I just think are very, very important to cover. And let's do that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So Tyson Fury has been facing a lot of heat over the last couple, really, he's been facing a lot of heat over the last 4 months for things related to his gloves in the fight for Deontay Wilder, both the fight number 1 and fight number 2. Now, without going into great detail what it is, in the first fight, there was conversations that people were looking at his left glove and saying, look, man, this guy's glove is not all the way on his hand. And now pictures come out about with his right hand for the second fight against Deontay Wilder, and you can clearly see his knuckles and his hand completely exposed in the glove as it makes contact with Deontay Wilder's body. So there are many people, and a growing number of people, who believe that Tyson Fury cheated in, if not both fights, if not both Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fights. The second one with that glove, it's almost impossible to convince me after having seen that glove that Tyson Fury did not manipulate the padding in that glove, right? Whether it was legal in that he just redistributed it, or whether or not something happened after it was reviewed and somehow the padding then got pushed away from his knuckles. I can't tell you what that is, but look, man, it's very, very hard on me not to believe that Tyson Fury played with his gloves in both of those fights. So I've been doing several videos about it because, it's just something in the sport of boxing that if you care about the sport of boxing, I believe that you should care about and that you should be willing to say something about, because it's over the top type of obvious. Now, Nicolas Asberry, who was a sparring partner for Tyson Fury, was on Blue Blood Sports TV's afternoon live stream. It's a very good, very, very interesting, very insightful live stream. There was Deontay Wilder's brother Tay that was on the show. And I had actually spoken with him in the past. Very nice guy, very, very bright guy. From as far as I can see, dude is a very straight shooter. Then the second guy was on there was Nicolas Asberry. So they talked about, the whole conversation, right? About the gloves. Now, a couple of things that Nicolas Asberry said during that his portion of the conversation really struck home to me. And that is, one, he asked the question, when have you ever seen a sanctioning body catch somebody with loaded gloves? It's a very good question because so many people ask and say, hey, well, don't you think, Fanon, that if you believe that Tyson Fury got into the ring with loaded gloves, or with padding removed from his glove, right? Or in another instance where he pushed the glove up on his hands and therefore allowed him to make contact with both hands with pretty much bare knuckles, wouldn't the state commission have to be in on it, right? And you also see people like BT Sports and other people showing videotapes of JDs in the room while the hands are being wrapped. And the way that my mind works is like, no, it doesn't matter to me that somebody was in the room, that the sanctioned bodies looked at those gloves, because they might have missed it. Or it could be a scenario where they're looking for something other than what we think that they're looking for. If they just have a scale and they put a glove on a scale and it comes out to 10 ounces, right? And it's for a 10-ounce fight, and they say, okay, that's good to go. We approve these gloves. And you have people who are working who are state commissioners that aren't really experts at boxing gloves or the distribution of horsehair or memory foam over the knuckles of somebody in boxing gloves. Then, hey man, they very well may miss that stuff. You know, these guys are not full. I'm quite sure that they're not full-time boxing commissioners, and that's their only job. But Nicolas Asberry pointed that out and said, hey man, when have you seen somebody, the state commission, catch somebody for loaded gloves? And you went back and said, okay, look at the situation where we've caught people for loaded gloves before. Marcus, Marcus Maidana is a pretty good example of it, because he was caught with the gloves that didn't have any padding in it by Floyd Mayweather Jr. after the Nevada State Athletic Commission had approved the gloves. But Floyd Mayweather Jr., because he's the money guy, and you can't force him to fight Marcus Maidana with just any old pair of gloves on. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is like, look, man, I got all kind of respect for Marcus Maidana, but look, we're not gonna try any of this slick shit. What he called it. He's like, we're not gonna try any of this slick shit. Okay, see this right here? There's no padding on that glove. I don't care what I don't care how much the glove weighs. There's no padding on this glove. And we're not fighting bare knuckle fights, right? So that was a case where a boxer, not the commission, caught the gloves, right? And then then Marcus Maidana wound up having to fight with gloves on, with gloves on his hands. So like, obviously there's a time where he said where it wasn't caught by commission, it was caught by a boxer. Then you go on to another situation where you have what's the guy's name? Louis Resto and Panama Lewis, when he fought Billy, what is the guy's name? Billy is the first name of the box. Billy Collins, I think, is his name, right? Billy Collins, who winds up dying after the fight because he lost consciousness in a car and dies in a car accident. But those gloves were approved by the sanctioning body. The people that caught it, they didn't catch it until after the fight. So the gloves were loaded. The gloves got past them, watching the hand wraps. They got into the ring. It got into where the referee says touch the gloves up. It got all the way through the fight before anybody found out that the guy's gloves were loaded, right? Same thing goes for Miguel Cotto. But again, that was not the sanctioning bodies that caught that with Billy Collins and Louis Resto. They didn't catch him. The other team caught him. Same thing goes for Shane. When Shane Mosley caught Antonio Margarito, Nazim Richardson caught Antonio Margarito loading his gloves. That he had multiple fights where the sanctioning bodies didn't catch him doing what he was doing. And eventually it was the other team that caught him. So all of the so one of the thing that really struck me about what he said was just enlightening people to the fact that boxing sanctioning bodies and commissions do not catch people for loaded gloves. Now, why would that be? Now, this is my personal belief about why that does not happen. The same reason that there are same-day weigh-ins. Many people don't know why we don't have same-day weigh-ins anymore. Back in the early 1980s, I do believe it was Eddie Mustafa Muhammad that during the same-day weigh-in found that his partner, the guy he was going to fight, came in over the weight. And it was the morning of the fight. And Eddie Mustafa Muhammad refused to fight the guy overweight. So the fight had to be canceled. And that means all of the people that made all that money, that made the money for the ticket sales, that some of those tickets had to be returned. The television network was already out of the money that they were going to be spending, right? So there was all of this money that was on the line, and that all went up in smoke when Eddie Mustafa Muhammad decided that he wasn't going to fight, right? So apply that to a scenario in the same situation where there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line for a pay-per-view fight, and somebody walks in there and their gloves look funny. The commission is, what do you think? The commission is just going to stop the fight? Say, oh no, nope, sorry, you have violated the rules. These gloves are too thin. No, we're going to call a fight off. Right? No, they're not going to do that. And more than likely, they're not very well situated to do that to begin with, because these guys aren't, by and large, are not familiar with the distribution, how boxing gloves are manufactured, and the significance of the distribution of the weight over the gloves. Now, I say all that to say that, I appreciate why people would be hesitant to believe that Tyson Fury cheated. I understand why people would say, hey, just drop it and move on. It's over. It's water under the bridge and all that. But at the end, but really and truly, it's not. If you care about the sport of boxing and you want to be able to see fights and you want to know that those fights are fair, when things like this happen, people need to do things about them and do things about it, and at very least speak up about it and not be afraid that you're going to get a lot of heat and a lot of slack from other people from saying what you can basically see with your naked eye, which is that this guy's whole hand, that his hand is very thinly padded, if padded at all. And you look, even when you sit around and you look at the pictures where you can't see his hand and it's just a hammerhead glove, right? Just don't tell me that you see these hammerhead gloves all the time, right? People play with their gloves. They try to get their knuckles closer to the hand, closer to the surface of the glove. It is something that people do on a regular basis to allow them to inflict more punishment on a guy that they're fighting. Please stop acting like this is just something that is impossible and could not be going on. But anyway, that's my take on the scenario. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.